Okay, y'all, so I'm back. So, in this book, the character, the mother, she's a mother of two. I think one's like a toddler, like two, and the other daughter's like around 5. She just started school, and she's a PhD in sociology, professional woman, and just a series of circumstances. Her husband was a chemist, is able to get a nice paying job where she has the quote unquote luxury being a stay at home mom. And it's really interesting because she felt really guilty about how conflicted she felt about being a mother, because here she didn't have to work. She could stay at home and be with her children, take them to school, raise them, witness all the different wonderful levels or stages of growth and development that kids go through, especially at that age, and be able to be there for her family. But she hated it. She felt trapped. Um, she felt like she was having a nervous breakdown. She felt like there was no one that she could share that with. And she felt like she was betraying her kids and betraying her husband and not being natural as a woman, because she did not feel competent as a mom. She was constantly worried about whether or not she was not doing the right thing, so on and so forth. And she couldn't really openly admit this to anyone. And I think that's the case with most mothers, is motherhood, people only talk about the good. It's just like, it's funny just being a woman. I remember when my sister was pregnant, there were so many different aspects of just pregnancy and labor that you would think, since pretty much all women experience this at some point in their lives, that it'll be a whole huge fount of knowledge of this woman or female experience. And the reality is that women don't even sit there and talk about and transfer from mother to child or grandmother to granddaughter, or from aunt to niece. Uh, these different just experiences, different aspects of being female, and it's just not talked about. It's just not discussed. And so she felt very isolated. And the story revolves around the fact that her grandmother actually abandoned her mother, and she kept having this desire to abandon her kids. She loved them, but she just felt like she got to the point where she couldn't do it anymore, and she just needed to leave. And it was either her more or less die or suffocate from the experience, or leave, abandon her family just so she could live. And then it was her, the daughter, main character, and then the mother, her mother, who sacrificed the love of her life, the job of her life, everything of any positivity in her whole life, she supposedly sacrificed for her kids. And what was the whole interesting thing about this is she would be mad at her daughter, because her daughter, for a long period of time while she was in graduate school and pursuing PhD, wasn't really that interested in having children. And she was like, "You regret it if you don't." But she at the same time had all this ambivalence, because she felt like she had given up her whole life. She still wanted to impose that kind of um, negativity, because her daughter needed to make a similar kind of sacrifice. It's just like part of being a female. And I remember, like, before my sister got pregnant, just in talking to different family members and friends and stuff, it's like women would be like, we shouldn't have to go and deal with the challenges of being a mother, and the frustration and the loneliness and just the negative aspects of it alone. I invite you to be miserable along with us, have to make the same sacrifice we have to have. It's not fair that you don't have kids. And I countered this all the time. And I remember with talking to my cousins, and they'll be like, wait till you going to have a child. You need to go ahead and do this so you could be miserable with us. And I'm not saying this is the case for all mothers. I'm saying it's the case for a lot of them. Um, but no one ever talks about it. The other thing that was interesting was the grandmother, and who actually did, was selfish enough, or perhaps even honest enough, to abandon her child um, equated having children with her enslaving herself. And so the author of the book tied in this whole legacy, this, of motherhood and slavery, which she really explored to in detail. And there was, anyway, I can go on and on and on. And so she explored it from all these different vantage points. And it was like I was so able to relate to the main character because how she felt was how I always conceived of how my experience would be if I had chose to have children. And it was my perception of being a mother, which is what her experience was. And so I was feeling that, and then at the same time, I identify with you have the daughter main character who I can really identify with, and the mother who totally sacrificed herself, and then me feeling that that was a requirement for being a mom. And then I had to make sure that my recording was actually happening. And then also being intrigued by the grandmother who was honest enough and selfish enough to abandon her kids. And I don't know, it just brought all this up, and I'm like, man, I gotta talk about this. I gotta open this can of worms, blast it wide open, and start creating dialogue, because I used to think it was hypocritical in a way that my whole life is centered around me establishing a comfortable, loving identity of myself as female, and it's taken me through a variety of different stages and aspects of my journey, and for me to even be doing the Arletta Unleashed blog, which is really connected with the feminine, but at the same time having this personal decision that I want to deny myself one of the ultimate opportunities that being female provides, and that's being a mother. And I don't feel that's hypocritical anymore. It just feels a matter of choice. Spirit had told me a while ago that in different lifetimes your souls choose to have different experiences, and in this particular lifetime, having children was optional. I chose that before I even came to incarnate in this particular experience. Other lifetimes is not optional, and for a lot of us it isn't, just depending on what we choose before we come. And if I chose to give birth, it wasn't necessarily going to be with the actual human child. It could be in a variety of ways. And I am one of few women I know. I've never been pregnant. There's a lot of women cannot have kids. I don't mean they ain't been pregnant. Actually, most women I know, even if they don't have kids, have been pregnant, had abortions, miscarriages, so on and so forth. Because a woman is at some point designed genetically and biologically to get pregnant. So anyway, but I just wanted to bring that out. I wanted to open up that dialogue. I wanted to create that space. I wanted it to be this place where we as women free ourselves from all these stupid taboos that we still don't talk about menstruation and having our periods. We don't talk about childbirth. We don't talk about all the most fundamental biological aspects of being a female. We don't talk about the truth about motherhood. And so you have generation after generation who have to kind of wing it and learn their own and learn in isolation. And they're surrounded by billions of other women who are having similar experiences, but they're experiencing the joy and the pain isolated, as opposed to even being able to anticipate. I mean, I think it would make sense for you to be able to go to your mother or your aunt or your friend to talk about your childbirth as opposed to going to a book when they've already had multiple kids. And that really hit home. And I'm like, as women ourselves, we have to take responsibility for that. We have to take ownership of our femininity, our fertility, of our female experience, and decide what works now and what doesn't work, and decide what kind of reality we want to create for ourselves as women and what kind of legacy we want to leave for our daughters. And that's one of the things that I appreciate